Hey, hey, hey. How are you doing, guys? Hope you all having a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. So I just thought I would jump in a few minutes earlier to check if my connection's working all right and other bits and bobs working all right. It was very sunny and lovely in Newcastle today, and I'm not sure what was it like where you are now. So I usually do this I'mPossible conversation on Sunday at 8 p.m. and I wasn't sure how it was going to how it's going with you guys, because when I started I'mPossible conversation a couple of years ago, that was a really good time for me, that having 2 young children, and thought I'll do it at 8 p.m. But now I'm not sure, because I can do it whatever time I want when my kids are 12 and 11 now. Hello, Mary. How are you doing? It's lovely to have you here. I hope Peter and you are good. Couldn't see you when you were back in Newcastle a few weeks ago, but so pleased to have you here. And today I also have this new mic and thought just to check it out before I start. I'm just wondering, is the volume and everything's okay for you guys? Let me know if you can't hear me or anything like that. So basically, what was I doing today? What were you guys doing today? I've been reading lots of newspapers and come across this. So today's Sunday Times, and it says 300 is the number of times a 4-year-old child laughs every day. 300 times 4-year-old child laughs a day. But it takes an average 40-year-old 10 weeks to laugh as much. Can you imagine that? 10 weeks to laugh. And that was like my fact for today, that found out like a brand new thing. And how many people we here? Mary, thank you very much. We got a few other people, but I really can't see it on my screen because I need to connect to my Facebook. So let me check very quickly. Oh, Rebecca, hello. How are you doing? My joyous friend, full of joy. Linda, hello. Lovely to see you here. Really looking forward to our interviews. Like the one that's scheduled with Rebecca soon, and Linda as well. And really, really looking forward to this. So let's see. We've got tonight, like on I'mPossible Conversation, we all know that I'mPossible Conversation is the platform where the ordinary people come and share their stories. And we have very special guests tonight. That special guest, he's the founder and the host of the Industry Angel, UK's #1 business podcast, and self-proclaimed social evangelist and speaker and mentor. That will sum him up. But I got the extra special treat for you guys, and this will show who he is now. So let's.
Just like having ideas, we all have passion. An idea is just a thought unless you execute on it. passion is just a feeling until you seize that opportunity. Seize the desire to fulfill the passion inside, to begin a new journey, to step out of the comfortable, because there becomes a point where passion takes over. An intense desire to accomplish, to inspire, to start something new. Passion supports you when apprehension arrives. When will you accept your passion?
Here it is, Mr. Ian Farrar. And I can see him now in a green room. Let's add him to our stream. Hello.
Hi, Suki. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. I think I got a little bit noise going on in the background.
Oh, have you? I'm so sorry.
It's fine now.
It's
I
fine
think
now?
it was, yeah.
Do you know what it is, Suki? You asked about this Sunday evening bit, and normally I'd be in a studio. I'd have microphones. I've had soundproof walls. And look at them now. I'm sitting here with a little pair of these. Some podcast of me, aren't I?
Do you know what, Ian? Because you are pro.
I'll take that.
I do what you're doing now throughout. It's my
Linda.
probably about 90th
90th?
podcast. Yeah.
Wow, well done.
Thank you. So I can still hear myself. I think maybe your Facebook is open.
Is that any different? I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I still can hear myself, but I'm not sure how it's for our viewers.
Yep, let us know if you I can hear you fine. I'm going to echo at my end.
All right, okay. So as long as people are okay, we'll be fine.
I'm sure they'll tell us.
Welcome in.
Thank you so much for inviting me on your show, Suki. I'm excited. I love what you're doing.
Thanks so much. Do you know what? I'm just so excited, and we've just watched your intro video, and there was a power of you.
There was a power of you. That was your baby. You did so well. You know that you had never put an event on before. That was your first event. You got quite a few grey hairs from it, but you did so well that you absolutely smashed it.
I can't believe that. It was just so amazing. Linda says there is an echo on your voice, Suki.
Oh. I don't know, because you're coming through my headphones.
Let me try to remove this off. What now? Can you hear me? No,
there's echo there, yeah.
Yeah.
The joys of going live, Suki M.
Yeah.
I am in good hands. I am in good hands. Myra, thank you.
I feel like I am in good hands. Right, it's still echoing. It's a little bit annoying. So.
Sorry.
It's not you. It's probably
me. Suki, I'd have webcams.
I got this thing. No, where is it?
What is that? A blue Yeti snowball?
Yeah, I think so. So this is my very first time using this. So
Linda said it's much better. Look.
Oh, cool. Oh, good. Right, let's start our interview now.
Let's pretend the first 5 minutes never happened.
Yeah, let's do it. So please welcome Ian Farrar.
Hello.
Hi. So you have hosted a business podcast for 5 years. Your podcast has been listened in 112 different countries. You approached to your 200th episode, and you represented UK in International Podcast Day. 200. So you've interviewed 200 business leaders.
Yeah, that sounds crazy, doesn't it? Yeah, and I've learned a thing or two.
Yeah, What stick out from these discussions?
Ah, I knew you'd ask that. You know what it is? We often have imposter syndrome, Suki, when we interview or meet successful people, okay? And I've met and interviewed so many successful people, and they are just like us, and they actually have mass imposter syndrome themselves. So it's really interesting when you meet somebody, and you hold them on such a pedestal, but actually when you push them a little bit and when you scratch under the surface, they're just people. So actually, they haven't got superpowers. So in terms of what I've just learned that people are just people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's our Shumba. Hi, Shumba.
Oh, Shumba, yeah, lovely. So everyone's exactly the same. We all qualify the minimum requirements.
We all have concerns and nervousness and anxiety. Look at that power of you, that beautiful image of the power of you. We were there and all the tables and everybody watching. And if you're a speaker and you don't get nervous, you're a robot. And if you tell people that you don't get nervous, you're lying, because that nerves and that anxiety is natural. It's human nature. So everybody feels these feelings. No one's superpowered, Suki.
Mm-hmm. So that's what you've learned from all these interviews.
I've learned just to actually speak as you find. It, I would probably talk to the Queen the way I'm talking to you, Suki, and
Mm-hmm.
I know people might think, oh yeah, but you know it's the Queen and you have to show respect. I'm being respectful with
Mm-hmm.
you, and I'm very respectful, and I just talk to people like I would want to be spoken to myself, and I just believe people are just people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Because all this achievement, it's just what we've done throughout our life journey. But beneath that, we are all the same. We're just human beings,
Yeah.
all striving to do our best and be better, happy. That the happiness, that's the main thing.
Happiness is the main thing, 100%. And when here's a question for you, Suki. When
No
because
question for
I
me.
know I know one. When does the penny drop in life that you understand that the pursuit is happiness? I don't know. For me, I didn't realize it until I was 30 something, maybe. Um,
Mhm.
Maybe I was too busy working and striving for something that I thought was important. But actually, you don't need material things. You don't need money. Yes, it helps us, but actually, what helps me is happiness.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I remember you were talking about your burnout
Mm,
story and then like the power of you,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
no one's coming to save you. Would you like
yeah,
to talk about where it's come from?
yeah. I mean, I'll often use the hashtag "No one's coming to save you," or my keynote might be called that, or I might mention that on blogs. And what I mean by that, Suki, is that there's only us that can make a change. You know, you can take a horse to water and that kind of thing, but it's applicable in all walks of life, Suki. You know, let me dial it back a little bit. When I was 30 something, I was working in the corporate land, and I wasn't happy because, as you mentioned there, I burnt out, and that's because I was addicted to work, commission, hitting numbers, bonuses, flying around the world, trying to constantly be successful or succeed or break my numbers. And sales is quite a hard job because you're only as good as the last sale that you made. And I wasn't happy, Suki, and you'll 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 know how much I talk about culture, and you'll know how much I talk about how important it is to be happy in your work. When you're staring at your takeaway on a Sunday night or your glass of wine, and you're looking at your watch, and you're panicking because you've got Monday ahead, and it's giving you mass anxiety inside, that's the time to leave. That's the time to walk out on your job. And when I was 40, I started far north when I was 40, and I fired myself from the corporate world. And I had a big salary and I had a big mortgage, and I just couldn't do it any longer. I couldn't work any longer because it was killing us. It really was killing us. And as Linda says there, when you hit a low, you do kind of realize what's important in life. And I did hit a low. I'd collapsed. I'd had ultrasound scans. I'd had X-rays, cameras down my throat because of the symptoms that I was facing because of workplace stress. I was taking beta blockers to get through meetings. And if I was going to a large client meeting, I'd take more medicine, and that's crazy. And I was 30 something, and I come to a point where I just thought, you keep going like this, and you're gonna end up dead. Um, so I fired myself, and
Mm-hmm.
in life we'll worry, and I think when you understand that everything is going to be all right, it is all right. And what I mean by that is we won't starve. You know, I
Yeah.
I I cut my salary in half. I literally took home 50% of my wages when I started my company. And what I realized was I didn't need the cars, I didn't need the meals, I didn't need the clothes. It didn't make me happy.
Mm-hmm.
So what made me happy, what I wanted was to be my own boss and to have my own culture because
Mm-hmm.
I'd been in some really bad cultures. I'd worked for some really, quite bullying people. And I decided that I wasn't going to do that any longer. And I wanted to create my own journey, if you like. So um, yeah, I know I bounced around a bit there, but
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm so passionate about no one's coming to save you because unless you make that change, it isn't going to happen for you. No one is going to wait. No one is going to come to you one day at the desk and say, I know you're not happy, Ian. So what we've done is we've created this new role for you, or we've created this new business for you to go and run. That doesn't happen. And just
Mm-hmm.
like training in the gym, people might not be happy how they look. I'm not happy because we've had COVID and I don't feel as good as I was at the start of the year in terms of fitness. There's only
Mm-hmm.
me that can take my backside to the gym. There's only
Yeah.
me that can stop me putting chocolate in my mouth. No one's going to
Mm-hmm.
do it for me. So you have to take action, Suki.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Sorry for rambling.
No, no, no. It's making me think because being self-employed, there is no one there to look after you.
Yeah.
Because like being a part of organization, there is like departments, I don't know, like health and safety or the HR, they organize some things for you. But being working just for yourself, there is no one there. And I've seen like few people kayaking and axe throwing, and I think that's what you lead them to do it. Would you like to talk more about that? Is it about self-employed being people coming together and being relaxed and having a good time, or is it more about business? What's behind all of this? What's it called?
There's lots of questions in there, Suki. So Carpeway is a company that I founded at the beginning of the year, but it was a project that had been running for about 18 months. And basically what Carpeway was, I love nature, Suki, and I love walking and hiking and getting out and the fresh air and the hills and the no mobile phone and emails and social. Um, it really helped me, and I decided to bring a group of business leaders, and I call them the first 11 because there was 11 of us on
Mm-hmm.
the very first meet, and we walked up Rosebery Topping in Teesside. It was about an 8 mile walk, and we were side by side and not across the table from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And when you cross the table from each other, sometimes if you haven't met before or you might be nervous about a particular topic, your body language might change. You can't look people in the eye. You might look away. But when you walk side by side as equals in a trusted environment, and you're just taking in nature and you're just chatting, you end up getting things off your chest, and it becomes a bit like therapy. Now, if you are a solopreneur, a small business, a micro business, we do wear a number of hats. Suki, you'll know this, and
Mm-hmm.
having a dozen friends that you can bounce things off just works so well. And some of the stories that came from that very first meetup were brilliant. One guy quit his job and he started at another place. One guy had a small business, he was an entrepreneur, and he went back into the world of work because he realized that entrepreneurship wasn't for him, but he just needed that validation. And I just decided, right, I'm going to formalize this. So every month I started putting meetups in the diary, and yeah, so Carpeway, Seize the Way, was born out of people wanting to seize the way and wanting to progress and wanting to share their journeys with trusted friends, and not in a corporate environment, because we're all just equal, Suki. And so, yeah, what you mentioned last week was we were kayaking up the town up the Tyne, sorry, because of social distancing. I didn't want people to look at us and go, look at that, they're off walking again. They shouldn't be. This was before the lockdown. And so, yeah, we went up the Tyne. And as Linda says there, tree huggers. Linda, if I see a tree, I'll hug it. And I'll feel the energy, and even rocks, old rocks, I'll put my hands on, and I'm just addicted to nature. So, yeah, we're all like-minded people, and I call it a private leadership group. And I don't want people to join this group and throw business cards around. I want people to join with a view of giving advice, giving love,
Yeah.
friendship, trust, and inevitably what happens is you receive as well. But it's not with a view of to receive to give, it's just to give. And there's our friend Paul just commenting there. Paul came along, and we went axe throwing, and
Yeah.
and I don't know if you saw Paul's live stream last week with Katie, but Paul met Katie on the Carpeway event, and now Paul and Katie have become good friends. So it's a way of connecting like-minded people together in a trusted environment without this wanting to sell or pass business cards across. We're just trying to help one another
Yeah.
connect, and it's great. It's absolutely fun. I'm so proud, Suki. I'll stand at the back and I'll watch a dozen people in twos chatting and smiling and laughing, and I'll just step back and I'll go, you did that. So I will actually take something from that self-indulgently. It makes me excited to watch those people connected.
That's so amazing, because being a solopreneur, they need to have someone to bounce their ideas around, not just business related. And you've created that environment and for them, so which is everyone much appreciate that. Can I just ask, what do you think? Who this self-employed thing. Who is it not for?
It's a deep question, Suki. Who is it not for? It's hard. I'm not going to deny working for yourself is hard. But the pluses outweigh the minuses. I guess it's not for people who. It's a tough question, that. So I think it's in you. Okay, I think entrepreneurship is in you. So as a boy, I'd wash cars. And then what I would do is I'd get my friends to wash the cars, but I'd do the knocking on the doors, and I'd line all the customers up, and I'd take all the money, and you know what I mean. And you are entrepreneurial. I'd buy things from China when I was younger and sell them on eBay. My son Luke, he was selling sweets at school, and he was cutting hair at 14, and I think sometimes the entrepreneurial spark is within you, and if you want that kind of salary constantly there at the end of the month, and you don't want to worry about stuff, then maybe it's not for you. But as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to wear a number of hats. You're in sales, you're in marketing, you're delivering. You might worry about whether you're going to get paid. You're on social, you're networking. But man, it's so exciting because you love the journey. It's the game you have to love. I don't want the £1 million. That's not the game. This is the game. This is the exciting piece. Meeting people, asking people things, learning from each other, listening to podcasts, watching shows like this, reading books, upskilling yourself. That's the exciting bit. And if that's not for you, then that's not for you. I don't know. It's a really deep question.
Yeah, it's like people probably just stay at their job because of security.
Maybe, but you can be an entrepreneur within a business. It's called being an intrapreneur. So you can be quite entrepreneurial within a business, and that's fine. Not everybody wants to be the entrepreneur, but you could give people a project that they could run. They could manage the P&L on that particular project and say, right, that's your baby. Try to make it wash its own face, bring the leads in, make the sales, whatever, and that's being entrepreneurial. But yeah, it's one of them things where if you want the security, maybe you're best off being employed.
Yeah, because I can see like Michelle, she's got a comment here. Being made redundant was the best thing ever happened to me.
Yeah, how many times have we heard that story, Suki? How many times? It is, and you know what it is when Michelle probably got that letter.
She says exactly what she says, but
she
we found we didn't actually need it.
Yeah. But she probably got that letter that night and went home to her partner and felt upset and felt a bit lost and what am I going to do? And it always works out better. It always does. Always, always. I can't say always enough. It does. You won't starve. Everything will be fine. The universe just answers you. And if you look for something, you will find it because no one's coming to save you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Because I know Michelle does lots of lives. And she shows how to put makeup on and advertises everything by herself. And that's like so good. And I'm sure she's got so many customers. Yeah.
Well, that's great that Michelle is putting herself out there because a lot of people won't want to do what you're doing right now, Suki, and put their head above the parapet. What people worry about is, oh my God, my voice is weird. I don't look beautiful. What if people hate me? And just get it done. So well done, Michelle. Step out, do it.
I think she's brilliant. So the Paul says something, in my opinion, self-employed running your own business is one of the most creative and fulfilling things you can do. It's hard though, not for people who need to be spoon-fed and have everything done for them.
Picking up on Paul's point there, when you start your own business, you've probably seen this. Where it goes swirly, and then straight. Because when you start your business, it quite often doesn't map out the way that you planned it. And when I'm working with clients, what I'll say to clients is, don't write a big website because it's going to change. What you do will change because your clients will push and coerce and ask you to do different things. Don't print out 2,000 glossy magazine brochures telling people what you do because you probably won't be doing that in a year's time. And the thing, and quite often in business, it might be a second or your third or your fourth business that might go successful, might not be the first. But it's the journey, and this is the thing, you just have to accept the journey. I'm doing things much differently with Far North than I was 5 years ago. Much differently. Some things I thought I'd be doing, I never ever did once. It's just, you just have to roll with it and accept it and enjoy it,
Yeah, because it's quite interesting. We've got our friend Romana here as well. And she says, yes, I was made redundant many years ago. And my life got infinitely better.
Now that's interesting. Again, like I say, we've heard this many times, and I'm glad to hear that, Romana. When I fired myself, what I wanted to do was create a culture that I wanted. It's hard when you sit there and you're in a bad culture. I'm sure we've all been there, and you just think, I can't take this any longer. This is wrong. This is not a business built on love. And my old man said to me once, he said, Ian, when you become the boss, you can't be everyone's friend. And I said, Dad, no, you can. And he said, no, son, you can't. You can't be everyone's friend. They'll take advantage of you. And I said, well, if they take advantage of me, that's their problem. If you take advantage of my good nature, that's them. That's not me. And I'm not going to change the way I run my business because one or two people might take advantage. If they do, move on. You're not for me. I wanted to build a company with love and a good culture from day one. And sometimes you can't have that within a business. And if you want it so badly, you have to make the change yourself.
So, in your opinion, what do you think? Before to leave the job, do you have to have an idea or something, some side project you run next to your actual job and transfer from part-time to full-time self-employed? or it's just like, do you know what? Let's do it type of.
Yeah, often people do have that side hustle mentality. They have the little passion project on the side, and then
Mhm.
suddenly, it becomes, it washes its own face. It starts to create income, and then you can pass across. That is a great way to do it. And I believe everyone should have a passion project. I mean, Suki, this is yours. The Power of You was yours. This is outside your role, if you like, and the same with me, with the podcast and with Carpeway. That doesn't pay the bills. Far north, my job pays the bills, but you never know what those side projects will lead you to, and I think you should just try to start them. But going back to your point, if you did decide on day one that I'm gonna start my own business and I'm gonna get paid, if you've got mortgages and children and cars and that kind of thing, it's probably going to put a lot of pressure on you. So it is good to have a little side project and transition across. Um, And quite often as well, if you have a good employer, they should help you leave with dignity and actually should support you into the self-employment world. And maybe there's something they could do financially for you as well.
Yeah, because you are campaigning for the small business, and you've interviewed the OB Tony Robinson,
Yeah, yeah,
and he was talking about the 3,000 excluded.
yeah.
The 300,000, the 3,000.
3 million excluded, Suki. Yeah.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, I would like it to be 3,000 or 300,000. Unfortunately, it's 3 million. And what Tony, a friend of Paul, and what Tony was talking about there is that the people that fell through the cracks during the pandemic and what the Chancellor's put in place, that hasn't really helped people in self-employment. And for instance, a lot of small business owners watching this will probably pay themselves a dividend. They'll probably take a minimum wage and pay themselves with a dividend. So when the furlough scheme came in, they were getting, the percentage of their salary, which is probably minimum wage and probably not that much because they took the majority through a dividend, which is fine and it's not a tax fiddle. It's legal. Lots of people do it. So these people have been left behind, and there's lots of other little bits and pieces that we haven't been supported with. And Tony and I'll be actually interviewing Annika Hicks on Tuesday from Excluded UK, the founder. We all want to beat that drum and raise it with Westminster and see what we can do, because unfortunately we have been left behind.
yeah, because there are some people who just doesn't qualify any kind of help at all.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately.
yeah,
Mm.
and it's quite hard. Do you wanna pick your health first or your business first? And then it's kind of a very interrelated, isn't it?
What in terms of your health and
Yeah, because people want their business safe, and then when you go out and do what you do, there's a risk of you catching the virus.
all right, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's kind of a dilemma.
It's a massive dilemma. I mean, we could talk. I mean, I'll give you one example here. I live on the coast here, and I don't know why I'm looking over there. I live here on the coast in South Shields, and what we do as a coastal town is we make money during the Easter and the summer holidays, which takes businesses right the way through the year in terms of cash flow. So you have this massive peak in the summer, and then you slowly dip down. And if we don't have that peak of Easter and summer holidays, where's the income to take you through the winter months? So what you'll find is some of these, bars and restaurants will struggle, and unfortunately, we'll see them go, and some of them might have been here for decades. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, so it's just really, really hard. Yeah, and I also know that you are so passionate about culture and positivity.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Sorry, I laugh because I did an interview this week, and Grant Murray, our friend Grant, asked me about the pool table post that I put out. So I put a post out on Twitter saying, "Has anyone got a broken pool table that I can put a sledgehammer through?" And the reason I did that post was that you've probably been into lots of companies and they'll have the red felt pool table and the pinball machines and maybe a dog in the corner, which is pretty in vogue now. But the culture in that business might be absolutely terrible. And this is what I was talking about with the pool table, was that I was getting so frustrated because I'd saw businesses that had the gimmicks, but not the actual culture. So you scratch that veneer and it's just a pinball machine, but actually, if you go on it and you, in work's time, and you're gonna get your backside, kicked. So yeah, I am really passionate about culture. So yeah, I wanted to do a little video. So if anyone has a pool table, then I can come and do a daft video where I put a sledgehammer through it, because red felt pool tables on culture, you don't see culture, you feel it.
And also, actually, I came across one of your social media posts, because I know you are very active on social media. It says, I got
This is
2
gonna
hours.
scare me now, Suki. I'm scared. I'm scared. Where are you going with this?
It says, I got 2 hours this afternoon, 4 to 6. I'll talk to anyone about anything confidentially. If I don't know you, I'd like to. If something's on your mind, get it out and have a great weekend. I don't have the answers, but I'll listen. The time is the most precious commodity,
Yeah.
and you're offering it, and that's just so kind of you. So you've given so much, and do you do it often? And what's the reason behind it?
Thanks, Suki. That's kind of you. The reason I do it is because I don't have millions and I can't give what I'd like to give. All I can give is my time. But as you say, time's a bit of a commodity. It's tight, and at that particular time, I did have some time, and I just thought, well, I'll try to use it wisely. And I did. I had a couple of great conversations, and I learned from them as well. I learned from the 200 people that I interview, so I value their time. Um, I'll probably talk about the volunteering project that I'm doing here. So I've started volunteering 101, and I'm writing a book at the moment, and I volunteer, and every time I volunteer, I write a blog article about it. So I wanted to give myself a target. I love targets, and I decided I was going to volunteer 101 times. So, and then I write about it, and then I create a book. So I might do that in 2 volumes. I might do 0 to 50, and then 51 to 101. And coffee table style, just pick it up, open it up, and then see Ian getting cut out of a car by the fire brigade, which I've done. And I'm learning all the time, and given actually, it's crazy, right? You give, but you get so much back. It's wild what you get back, and it expands your network so wildly. I mean, I'll give you one example. So I did a podcast episode with a child called Nat, and he's an American chap, and he left university, and he went to Kenya, and he volunteered in Kenya for a company, Kamulo. Oh, the name escapes me, but he worked for this Kenyan company that sold dairy cows to farmers in Kenya. And what the farmer then does is they then milk the cow, sell the milk as an entrepreneur, and make the money from the milk. Now, for that to happen, the farmer has to buy the cow, and he has no money. And in Kenya, there's no banks. So how do you do that? So what Nat did, he teamed up with a company called Kiva, Kiva, and if you Google that, there's a website there. And what Kiva is, a bit like a crowdfunder kind of Kickstarter thing, where you can give someone money, and if multiple people will give $20, for instance, they can then go and buy the cow, and then they repay you $1 a month or whatever it is for the next couple of years. Now, $20 to someone like us is nothing, but $20 to I'm almost saying Rose, because what I did was I got 14 of us friends, and we bought a cow. We bought a cow for Rose in Kenya. So 14 of my friends, we all chipped in using Kiva, and we supported Rose, and then Rose paid us back $1 or $2 every month until the loan, because it's just a loan. It's a micro loan. The micro loan was paid, which is really interesting. So that's from me having a conversation with Nat on a podcast to then reaching out to all my friends saying, "Do you fancy buying a cow?" And then funding Rose with this cow, who then sells the milk, who then supports our family, and then pays us back the loan. And now we're thinking, right, we've got that money back in the account. Who else are we going to support? So we bought chickens, we bought chemicals, we bought fertilizer, we bought rakes for some of these women and men who are quite vulnerable. So they might have been a victim of domestic abuse. And they might have, 4 kids and they're really struggling because there's no banks or benefits. And sorry to like ramble on a little bit, but these sort of given projects that I've been doing are just so rewarding. And what they give me now is a story. So actually, selfishly now, I'm telling you the story of Rose and the cow. And as a keynote speaker, when you're encouraging people to and trying to motivate them to do something because no one's coming to save you, start something because you never know what the journey might lead you. These these projects and these experiences that I've been going through have just took me into some absolutely fantastic places. So rewarding.
Yeah, it's not you. It's like probably you will get more than you give.
Yes, 100%. Definitely.
And can you imagine the ripple effect you're causing?
Well, thanks for that. That's really perceptive, and that's why I wanted to write the book, because what I thought is, if I can volunteer 101 times, and then 10 people read the book and volunteer 101 times, but then what if 100 people wrote that book and volunteered 101 times, and so on and so on? You get the idea. So if I can publish that book and pass it in the hands of thousands, and they all start volunteering, what a change! What an absolute change! Because I can't volunteer 1,000 times, but I can try to volunteer 50 or 100. So yeah, thanks for that. I'm glad you picked up on that, because that's the idea.
Yeah. So how many projects have you completed so far? Like the volunteer-wise?
Yeah, I think I'm like 30 something, and I would love to do more, but then the pandemic hit. So I've tried to do things online, which is something I can write about, but it's been great to write about certain charities. So, for instance, I'm now a trustee of actually one of the charities, the Charlie and Carter Foundation. So I started I think I ran the Great North Run for them. And then the next thing you know, I'm now a trustee for the charity. So and actually I went on a litter pick at the beach, in my local beach here in South Shields, and the lady who was litter picking with me, we got on so well. I invited her to the Charlie and Carter ball, and she came on. She came on the ball, and now she's come on board as a trustee herself last month. So you know this, getting out there and speaking to people and expanding your network will take you into so many special places and give you so much back than actually your initial giving to that charity. There's so many stories. So I could talk all night about some of the things. I've wrapped presents for children in the bridges in Sunderland. For the Children's Foundation, guys would quickly hurry up with a bottle of perfume and say, "Oh my God, it's Christmas Eve! I need to give this to my wife tomorrow. Can you wrap it, mate?" I'm like, "Yeah, no bother. I'm an expert now. I've done so many, wrapping and putting little bows on these things, and you know." Friends of mine come along with me as well, and we'll do. We've had some great experiences.
Amazing. And I remember you've done, was it for Grace House with Nigel Risner and Jeff Ram?
Don't talk to me about Grace House, because if my friend Laura's watching, she sold me down the river because I did the coast to coast cycle ride as well with no training. Because I thought, yeah, I'll do that. I can do that, no bother. So I rode the coast to coast. I don't know how many miles it is. Someone might tell us in the comments. And so I rode coast to coast in a couple of days for Grace House. And then we got on so well. They then asked me if we'd do something like this, which was an online fundraiser with Nigel Risner and Jeff Ram, friends of the PSA, like we are. And we did an online fundraiser for them because of the pandemic. I mean, charities are really struggling right now in the pandemic because they rely on things like the Great North Run and lots of these events, because people do get sponsorship from each other, from corporate sponsorship, and these events aren't taking place now. So they're going to have to be really smart in terms of how they do get their money in. So yeah, we did an online event, which was great fun.
Yeah, it was really, really good. And also the International Podcast Day is approaching very soon. Have you got any plans?
But International Podcast Day is a great project, and it was started a few years ago. And as you mentioned in the introduction, I was fortunate enough to represent the UK in 2018. I think this time we've got 55 countries, I think. So everyone gets like a 30-minute or an hour slot, and it just goes around the world in all the different time zones. It's so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that is on the 30th. So the 29th, I'm doing a live show. I'm going to interview 4 people, and I'm going to interview Annika Hicks, who I mentioned earlier on, and I'm going to interview one of the co-founders of Podcast Day, International Podcast Day as well, and get him on the show and talk about that project and again, creating something special and creating value for people to watch. And you remember, I mean, I don't remember on April Fool's Day, I did a 16 speakers, 9-hour podcast marathon live when the pandemic first hit, because I felt that people needed something and to create some content for them, but also got me quite focused as well, trying to herd 16 cats into something like this, Suki one after the other. I needed a rest after that. It was 8 hours 46, 8 hours 46 minutes, and
Yeah.
it was very tiring. So, but I love creating content, Suki. I love it. It's really good.
Mm. So Linda just mentioned, says it's 182 miles.
Thank you, Linda. My bottom was incredibly sore, my friend.
Yeah, because I've done the Great Bike Ride. It's about 59, 60 miles.
Oh
And
wow, really well done.
yeah, not 182 miles. So, so who do you look up to?
Wow, that's an interesting question. My parents, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because they're amazing people, and I love them dearly, and I don't. I'd still believe that everyone is just people, Suki. I know there's people who've done some marvelous things. I like people who've faced adversity and got through the other side. Um, that really inspires me. I've had a few people on my podcast across the years that have done something like that. One chap that springs to mind was a South African guy who was a very, very fit athlete. I think he was doing triathlons and things like that. And he was hit from behind by a lorry, and the lorry driver was drunk, and it nearly killed him. Nearly killed Lorry, and he lost his leg. And a really inspiring story about how he came back from recovering from that, but still had such a positive attitude. I also met another lad, Drew, who has a gym in Gateshead called the Pop-Up Gym. Drew was an Ironman, and Drew dove into some shallow water. It was a sea. It was a sand bed, and unfortunately, he did one of his vertebrae and he paralyzed. So going from a very fit guy to now literally in a wheelchair, but he started his own gym for other wheelchair users here in the Northeast, and maybe that was his calling. So it's really inspiring to see how people live such a life, but then it gets flipped on the head so quickly by one action, like that lorry driver, or that unfortunate jumping into a sandbed. Life is so fragile, and it can be taken from you or changed and dramatically in an instance. And I have learned quite a lot from some of these people, where I've learned to appreciate what I've got and how fragile life is.
We just don't know it when we don't actually experience it. We think it's like guaranteed. It's like how it's supposed to be. But it's just like a blink of an eye, isn't it?
It certainly is. It
Yeah.
certainly is.
Mm-hmm. So what's the best piece of advice you've been given by someone?
I guess that would be my dad actually, and it's interesting. My dad is a shipbuilder. Well, he was. He's retired now. He's in his 70s. But Brian Farrar was a plater in the shipyards and grew up in that time of men and digging in and my grandfather, he was a miner. And my dad said to me, son, you've got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror. And what he meant by that is that you could make millions, but if you stand on people to get there, and if you take advantage of people, could you really look at yourself in the mirror? Because there's only you at the end of the day, and you've got to justify things to yourself. And I love that. I love that, because you do have to be your own judge of character, and you're with yourself every day. You're in your own skin. You're in your own body. So I love that, and I do take that on board.
So if I ask, what would be the worst piece of advice you've been given?
It's interesting. I just mentioned that earlier on about what my dad said, and it's funny. I guess he gave me the worst and the best. And the worst bit was, you can't be everyone's friend if you're the gaffer. And I believe you can. I believe you can lead from a heart-centered approach. And I think it's very, the term authenticity now, it's a bit cliche. And I often say this in my talks, that it's not a dirty word. It's just overused by marketers. But you've got people like Brené Brown, who are talking about, leading and daring to lead, and stripping the armor off, and showing your vulnerabilities. I love that. I really do believe that now is the time to do that, because this pandemic has stripped us bare and took us all back as equals. And we should now learn from that. And I think people are leading with a bit more of sensitivity and a bit more personally. We've took things on board, and we do things like this on Zoom in business, and you've got children running around, you've got a partner in the background popping a cup of tea on the desk as you're talking, and these are the important things. You'll never get to 60, 70 and retire and go, I wish I could just have one more meeting. It's never going to happen. You will never say that. But what you might do is, I wish I could just play football in the park one more time with my boy, or wish I could take my girl swimming one more time. These are the important things, and when you lead from a heart, these are the things that I would want my team to do. Like, hey, if it's sports day, what are you doing here? Why are you in the office right now? You're only going to get 7 or 8 sports days. Get out. That's the important thing, and I think we've learned that quite a lot now with this pandemic, and it has given us a reset, and I think that has been used quite a lot. But it's been a brilliant reset for me, not personally, but it has actually. But to watch everybody else kind of reset and learn a little bit more about what it's all about. It's not about the mobile phone and the emails. They can wait. Sorry, I'm getting ranty now.
It's fine. I'm really enjoying it. So you're talking about authenticity, and we talk about leadership as well. So there is a term called authentic leadership. And in my opinion, you just need to be. You don't need to say what kind. So bringing that on top of any words, like the authenticity, for example, on top of clarifying whatever noun it is, that makes it not real.
That's a really good point. If someone has to tell you they're a social influencer, there's a good chance they're not a social influencer. So putting labels on ourselves like this, it's for other people, that they're trying to tell that other person that that's who they are. Well, as you say, why not just be and do that thing and let people find out for themselves? It's so inauthentic to tell someone that you're an authentic leader.
Yeah, exactly.
It's ironic, isn't it? But I think a lot of people now want to be that authentic leader. I was doing some training last week, and actually one of the directors said to me, Ian, how can I be more authentic? How can I become more authentic with my team? And what I said was, you're gonna have to show your vulnerability a bit. You're going to have to actually bare your soul and tell them that you're not good at certain things, or because you've got to surround yourself with these people, and you have to become as equals. I don't like that hierarchical approach. People know who the gaffer is. You don't have to tell them. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell people that I'm your gaffer. Get that done. They know that. So.
Yeah. And then if you think, it's just like if he's asking you just in a work-wise, the person, like as a human, that person needs to be authentic, like as a person. That's how you come across authentic, rather than just training to be authentic in sales and not in other areas.
Mhm. It's really interesting, sometimes when people have two different personalities, the work person and the home person, and I believe now that these lines are blurred. And you've probably seen some posts on LinkedIn, for instance, and when I'm training people on LinkedIn or coaching people, what I say is you have to show more of you as a person. I often say this and my clients go mad with me. I don't care you've got investors and people ISO 9001 and you've been an exporter of the year. I do not care. It's what can you do for the clients? What can you do for me? What can you do for your team? That's the important. When you build a business on giving and adding value, it will succeed. I know all those nice things are good and people have worked hard for them, but what they need to remember is it's the value. So when I'm talking to clients and, going back to that piece about authenticity, I love people to show themselves, or the team. If I was to say to you what piece of content really works quite well on LinkedIn, for instance, it's a team photograph, two people talking, three people on a whiteboard trying to, figure something out. It's not these stock for photographs of these beautiful men and women, shaking hands, and they don't exist. That never happens in business. When do you ever high five people in an office? I don't do that, but I will chat with someone over a whiteboard and showing these really authentic images. I showed a picture of Luke, my boy, cutting my hair once, and I span it, and I said, do you give your children the freedom to work and choose their own career, or do you push them into something that you think's right for them? I remember my dad saying, Ian, you should be an engineer. There's great money in it. I was an engineer for 10 years. I hated every day, you know. And what I said, well, Luke, is like, follow your heart, son. Whatever you want to do. If you enjoy cutting hair, then cut hair, and I'll support you all the way. And we did a great photograph where he's cutting my hair, and we put it on LinkedIn. It got great engagement because people have children. People remember their first day at school or college. People remember their career path, and they relate to it. You know, they don't really care that, oh, I've just won this new order, and you know what I mean.
Because I remember lots of posts from you having a haircut. Yeah, during the lockdown, everyone was struggling with their long hair, and you were there having a personal stylist.
He's just done my hair today. Actually, there's not much of it left, like, but he's just shaved my hair today. He's a good boy.
Mm-hmm.
All I need now is my daughter to be a dentist, and I'm laughing.
That's just like would like to become a dentist.
Jessica is a really talented artist. She draws so well, and she uses an iPad, and she draws on the iPad, and she comes up with she's very, very creative. So I'd love her to come and work at Far North. She could get involved in graphic design and do stuff for our clients. So I've got my eye on her, Suki, but I'd love to get Luke in his own barbershop, so from an entrepreneurial space, get Luke really trained up well and have a brick and mortar business, which I've always wanted, the brick and mortar business, the branding side of it and everything. So I'd love to push him into that role.
Fantastic, because they know so much things than us. Because I remember the day, because like your angel wing photo.
Yeah.
I wanted to Photoshop it, and the thing is, what was happening was when I removed the background, your wing was gone, and I needed wing. So I was struggling, asking like, I need to learn this Photoshop thing. And then she just came and said, like, you want to do that? Just send it to me. And I was just, Okay. Do it.
I tell you what, that reminds me of, Suki. I do quite a lot of university work with business students, and we do like Kickstarter challenges and entrepreneurial challenges with them. And we have, the post-it notes everywhere, and we're trying to come up with a business, and we're trying to figure stuff out. And it's amazing, some of these young students and what the ideas they come up with. And I'll be like, I don't think that's going to work. There's no money in that, or I don't think you should try that. They come from such a fresh canvas, and they'll try anything. So actually, they come with no preconceived ideas about what works, what doesn't, what the finance is going to be like. I love that. I'm so jealous. I've got 20 years of pain behind me, and I'm like, nah, that's not going to work.
Mhm.
Try it, and even if it doesn't work, it might lead you somewhere else. So I have to keep reminding myself of that.
Because they don't know any of no's. So being experienced has its disadvantages.
I agree. I do. That's what I think. Yeah.
Mm. So what's the impact you would like to have on the world?
You know what it is? It's the volunteering side. It really is. I love that. If I can get more people to give their time, I really believe that we could make a real impact. So when this whole thing goes, I really want to start delivering on volunteering 101, and get a tribe going. I've got volunteering101.com. I've got a domain sitting there ready to go. We'll create a website, we'll create a domain, we'll have a hashtag, and we'll get people sharing their volunteering as well. And wouldn't it be great if we could actually see those ripple effects that you mentioned earlier on? That would be exciting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a great, great project. And earlier I mentioned that I've read today's Sunday's Times, and 300 is the number of times a 4-year-old child laughs every day, right? But it takes an average 40-year-old 10 weeks to laugh as much. So would
Yeah,
you
well, I like a good laugh, Suki, so everything I do is with a sense of humor.
so make us to laugh like +1?
Give you the joke, okay then. So, how do you know if someone's an entrepreneur?
Free time?
Lucy there, Suki.
Yeah, I think I'm losing you as well.
No, because they'll tell you about it constantly.
They show off.
I think my battery's going, Suki.
Oh, right, okay. So I think like we probably like
Yes,
nearly
that's
end
right.
of our time. So tell us where people can find you, please.
Yeah, if they just look at the Industry Angel podcast, just search on that, you'll find me, Suki. I love Twitter. That's my Twitter handle on the screen, Ian_Farrar. So I'd love people to connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn while I'm on LinkedIn. I'd love people to reach out and what they've been doing in terms of giving and charity work. Yeah, exciting. I'd love that.
Thanks so much for your time and being us here, and really enjoyed our interview. And I really hope your volunteering experience will have impact on other lives and grow a lot.
Thank you, Suki.
Good things.
Thank you. I'm really enjoying the journey.
Right.
And
Thanks.
listen, one more thing before I go. You need to keep doing this with all your friends and all your inspirational people, because they've got a story to tell. And it's so exciting to see what you're doing with your time. So you keep going, okay?
Will do. Thanks very much. I know you always
Cheers,
support
Suki.
us. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay, big love, Suki.
Thank you. Bye. Oh, what an interview. Thanks so much, all of you, being here. And if you really enjoyed this interview, please share with your friends, because Ian is amazing, an amazing human being. So I would like everyone knows about him and his volunteering projects, and like I mentioned earlier, the ripple effect. so everyone would know about it and start volunteering and do even more good in the whole world. And next week, I got self-care queen Jan King, and I really hope to see you all next week. Thanks for your time being here. Bye-bye.